The first order of business would be to stand the national anthem. And to help us with this, I'll invite one of our talent ambassadors from UG, a very unique talent, Mr. Ronaldo Torres, who will lead us in the national anthem. Could we stand, please? Mic one. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may have your seats. I saw the shock on some people's faces. Where is that coming from? Welcome to the University of Guyana, and welcome to this conference. We are starting a little delayed, and I know that these seats will fill out very quickly. We have some audience joining us online, and it's going to be a full 2 days. First of quite a bit of presentation and learning, some knowledge sharing, and then some discourse about what we've learned and what do we do with that? Where can we go? We have representation from a number of government agencies, from a university, from the IRD partners here, from WWF and its network in the region. And we're going to have a very interesting bit of interaction. I want to welcome our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paloma Mohamed. She's this, Mr. Darcy Waldron. He's the head of environment at the GGMC. Dr. Laurence Maurice. She is the director of research at IRD. And Ms. Aiesha Williams, proud graduate of my department at UC. She is the country manager for the WWF-Guianas office. To keep this moving, and I think we'll catch up with the time that we might have lost in the delayed start. I want to invite a gentleman who has been very gracious to us in extending his services, Mr. Laurence Lachmansingh. He is the Forest Governance Facilitator for Guyana, and he will give us an overview of the event and the process, and some emphasis on the process element. Laurence?
Morning, everybody. All important guests present, welcome. People ask me sometimes, what does a facilitator do? Morning, Vice-Chancellor. Well, I can tell you, I don't facilitate barrels at Christmas through customs. I don't facilitate driver's licenses. I'm here to make things easy. If you Google facilitation, it's about making things easy. So my job is really, really simple this morning. You won't see me after this particular session this morning. I'll be around, but tomorrow is more, as you look at the agenda, you'll see that I have more of a role tomorrow. Today, does everybody have the agenda? It has a cover page like this, yeah? Okay. There's a really cool second page. I invite you to become fully familiar with it if you're not already. It gives you an overview of this conference, which emphasizes the scientific expert research nature of the conference. There are 5 objectives, which you can read. There are explorations of different things, strengthening collaboration, and so on. You're all familiar with this because you registered and you would have seen this. There are 4 outputs, and I am really proud of UG for putting this on paper because this is a promise that they are making to you, the participants, whether in person or online, as well as the public at large. So congrats for committing to those 4 outputs. Now, as we move along into the details of the 2 days, you'll notice something that gives me, well, would give me cold sweats if I was facilitating today. There are more than 30-something sessions, as you would have noticed. Lots of technical presentations, panel Q&As, and so on. So I can say it early, be prepared for a lot of content. It's interesting stuff, it's important stuff, but we have to be really, really tight with time. There are session chairs that are responsible today and tomorrow for keeping things on time. But to keep us on time, I want to go through a quick exercise, and maybe Ms. Williams, if I could lean on you to just take some notes of what participants agreed to. For us to be productive with this agenda here, we need to agree on some things among us. Specifically, what can we agree together as the productive habits, the good habits that we can agree to adopt for the 2 days to keep us on track? I'm opening the floor because I don't want to propose to you big people what are some of the things that we should do to make sure we are focused and that we are productive. The floor is open. If you've got any suggestions, please. What are some of the things we can agree to that keep us on track as a group? Sorry? Well, you know, there's a friend who comes into every meeting through the phone. So what do we do with phones? I hear it. So can we agree phones on silent? But sometimes an important call could come. So how we can deal with that? Thank you. Is that okay? Folks, things happen. Calls, you've got to take some of them. If you could take it outside, no problem. So we can agree to that? So Aiesha is taking notes to me. All right, cool. Any other rules? There's one I'm really glad for. If we should be punctual with time. If the people then said 10-minute coffee break, can we agree to that? Any other suggestions? Going once, going twice. All right, so so by that you mean no cross-talking, no sidebars. Yeah. Okay, this is a really good point. In many meetings, people start to whisper to each other, especially if something exciting is happening. So if we could try and minimize the disturbance from those little sweet nothings that are being whispered. We cool with that? All right, good. I will be supported over the next 2 days by some co-facilitators. One of them, I'm going to introduce him to you now. I don't know how this is going to work, but I find it helpful sometimes just so people know that if we're going too long, you might hear something like that. Tomorrow, I'll introduce you to another co-facilitator. He's also lots of fun. So with that, let me end. I hope that wasn't more than 5 minutes, Calvin. If it was, my apologies. And back to you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much, Laurence. So this conference comes out of a project partnership that includes the WWF, the IRD. In fact, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the full French name. I'm sure you will, Laurence. The ARM, the Alliance for Responsible Mining, and the University of Guyana. And it was funded by FFEM, which has another French name that I'm not going to attempt and butcher. I'll allow Laurence to give you the full bit on that. So to bring us some remarks, we'll first invite Professor Paloma Mohamed Martin, the 11th Vice-Chancellor for the University of Guyana and the first female Vice-Chancellor. She's a mover and a shaker, and you notice she'll always, I'm very thankful that she's been able to join us this morning. Professor.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning, and thank you, Ms. Calvin Bernard, our MC. I'd like to recognize, I left my my book there, but I think it's Dr. Miller, Dr. Boyce, Maurice, Dr. Maurice, Mr. Dr. Darcy, and Aiesha, who I know very well, and everybody else in the audience from the ministries, aligned ministries from the university, Laurence, and those online, students, media, and others. I'd like to stand on the protocols already established by Calvin this morning. I won't say much because I think we need to catch up on some time, but I just wanted to make a few brief remarks. The first is, and unfortunately, I do have to make this remark, I wish I didn't, is that the conversation this morning about Mercury cannot be divorced from the conversation about our territory, because in that territory that is being now disputed, many of our resources of this kind and many of the people who work on gold and mining in particular are in this area. And this morning, I'd like to send our prayers out to them, our considerations and thoughts out to them, because I believe that they might be at least feeling some tense moments of the anxiety. And also to our brothers and sisters in the bordering territories of Venezuela and Brazil, because we've lived together in peace for over 300 years. And I would expect and hope that we will continue to do so, and we will find a way to address the things that we need to address in a way that creates a model for the world. We do not need in this world another conflict, another war, another person dying needlessly. So I think we need to say that. And I say this, call for peace, interestingly. I've been calling for peace since January over other people's conflicts, never knowing and ever conceiving that my own country would end up on the brink of something like this just a few months later. But in thinking about what the sponsors of this event are trying to do, I think about the University of Guyana's blueprints that we created, and Calvin was part of that team in 2017, 2018. When we sat down as a university and talked about our role and our relevance to a country that was rapidly going to change, and to a region that was going to rapidly change because we're all interconnected, and to a world that was rapidly changing. We did not in any way, shape, or form, of course, conceive that some of the disruptions that we were modeling for might occur just within a year or two of that work that we would have done. And I'm speaking about COVID. But in 2017, 2018, when we sat down for several weekends together with stakeholders, some CI was involved and some other environmental agencies were involved, EPA was involved, the Office of Climate Change at the time and so on, and the environmental protection agencies, etc., and some international universities. We came up in that time with 4 aspirational goals for the university that we thought would address some of the particular issues and problems that we thought would arise and were present with us. And 4 of those aspirational goals there were only 4 actually. So the first one everybody knows really well now because I've been talking about this over and over and over. So at least one graduate per household, so that one we know, and we've been working towards that. But the second and third ones are the ones which are germane to the conversation today. And they are for the University of Guyana to be a center of excellence for research on some very specific areas. Now, the university offers 155 different programs, over 3,000 separate courses, but we isolated 8 areas, and then after COVID, we added a 9th. And cross-cutting across all of those criteria or those values or those areas were environmental responsibility, sustainability, climate change, and resilience. And so the work that is being done here under the auspices of the wonderful and generous donors, who I will thank by each in turn in a minute, is very consonant with that work and those aspirations that we had. The other thing that we said we were going to do was that we were going to be a center for solving some of the major challenges, what we call the grand challenges of the country and the region. And because of Guyana's importance to the world on climate and environment, I think it's important to note that when we act in Guyana, especially in terms of environment and being responsible, we are actually acting on a global ecosystem. And that this is every small aspect of what we do, every part of what we do, put together becomes a really significant and important part of a global effort to really create a sustainable, safe environment. Now, a couple of years ago, when I was doing a different job, I was deputy and I had more time to do research and be around the place. I was working in a building which I read in the paper several years later had some problems with mercury. I'll not name the building because you'll know the agency, but I think this is widespread, and I became very, very concerned because people were getting sick, etc., etc. And we have all kinds of problems with pollution and so on. I'm not the technical expert, but I can tell you that the work that you are doing here is very, 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 very important. And I really want to commend Calvin because he's been pretty much working on this almost like a one-man army with the support of the donors. I want to thank him for that and to apologize, of course, for the late start because I hate things starting late, but we understand what happened here this morning. So because of that, I'm not going to say very much more, except that the sessions are very, 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 they're a lot. they really are, it's really a lot. And I am really happy that we're streaming. I hope we're recording so that those people who have to step out get distracted for some reason, and also who have to probably get saturated and need to engage with the material later, that they will be able to go to a site and use that information over and over and over again. So it can be used as a research tool for people in the media who need to learn something, and also for those of us later on who might be actually looking to do a documentary or something. There's so many uses for this information. I understand we have a research student who has come out of this process. I hope that I'm correct. I'd like to recognize the person, is the person here. But thank you for doing that. I think it's very important for us to have students and young people who are engaged and who are operating at a very high level. and I hope that that person will be able to continue. So I'd like to thank the people who are supporting the conference, which is an action under the project supporting mercury phase out in the Guyanas through evidence-based approaches, the Regional Mercury Observatory. The partners, Aiesha World Wildlife Fund for Nature and of the Guyanas, thank you. IRD, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the French because I might butcher it, or I might name you something else. The Alliance for Responsible Mining, ARM, and the project is funded by the French Facility for Global Environment. We'd like to thank you all. We'd like to thank the university. I see some colleagues from CI at the back there. I see a researcher for them, Ms. Hackett in the audience. And of course, always wonderful to see young people. The planet, the environment, unfortunately, the problems that we've created also belong to you. And so you really need to be part of the solution. So I hope that you're here because you're interested and not because somebody told you you need to come. And if they did tell you you need to come, by the time you leave interested, impassioned, and fired up to act, and with some very good information under your belt. So thank you all. God bless you. We pray for peace. We work for peace not only in our country, but in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I want to now invite an alum from the University of Guyana who is serving as the country director for, country manager for the WWF-Guyana office, Ms. Aiesha Williams.
Thank you very much, Calvin. All protocols observed, Vice-Chancellor, Darcy, and fellow colleague Laurence, Maurice from IRD, all invited guests and participants, the media, staff of UG, fellow colleagues from WWF, France, and also from the Guyanas. Good morning and welcome. I am so pleased to be speaking on behalf of WWF Guianas and also WWF France and French Guyana, parts of France office, as partners implementing this project you just heard Vice-Chancellor spoke about. It's a pleasure to co-host this conference together with the University of Guyana and IRD. The Institute for, the name is right up there, the French Institute for Research and Development. I wouldn't go attempt to do the French as you said, but at least I said the English. And we are partnering to host this conference under the project supporting mercury phase out in the Guyanas, Guyana, Suriname, and to some extent French Guyana. And it's implemented by WWF, the Institute for Research and Development, and Alliance for Responsible Mining as the lead co-implementers, as well as local partners here in Guyana, including the University of Guyana, and partners in Suriname, and on that side of our border. And we are implementing this project through the financing of the French FIC, the French Environment Facility, over the last few years, and we're in the final year of implementation of the project. And in addition to the presentations, a few presentations you will hear today, you will hear some of the results of this project, but also the project aims to pilot and test mercury-free technologies and ways of reducing mercury within gold mining, especially in the small-scale gold mining. Emphasizing on ensuring that there is something that is economically feasible for miners, it's easy to adopt, and caters for the interests of miners, while at the same time reducing impacts on the environment and people's health. Because as you know, mercury is not only hazardous to people's health or to the environment, but also to people's health through the air or through fish they eat and so on. And you'll hear more about this later on in the day. So this is a great, there's a great deal of information about mercury, about the impacts of gold mining on water and forests, even as it is, the sector is important for many people's livelihoods across the Guyanas and even across the world. And even as this is so important for people's livelihoods and the development of country, we need to find alternatives to ensure that it can be done and practiced in a way that's responsible and protects not only the environment, but also people's health. And we look to have this discussion at this conference today to ensure that we share lessons, we share data from science and research that so many people have done at this university, and institutions have processes that institutions have progressed on in our local institution and even abroad. And WWF is pleased to co-host this conference today and tomorrow. And it is part of our mission and our vision to see people living in harmony with nature. Because nature, our forests, our fresh water, wildlife, and so the air that we breathe, it's so important, and it's our lives, our livelihoods and well-being depend on it. And that is the basis for the focus and the mission of WWF, to see people living in harmony with nature. And so this conference, as we bring together so many different minds, so many different perspectives, as our facilitator said before, we'll respect each other and we'll respect each other's work and the results that we hear, while at the same time discussing solutions and actions that we can move forward with, not only for this project, but also in all of the institutions and the work that each of us in this room and that may come also are a part of, that we could be successful and we could see good results in gold mining and also in various institutions and sector that we are working in. So thank you, and I hope you have a good discussion over the next 2 days.
Thank you very much, Aiesha. And I now would like to invite Dr. Laurence Maurice, and she's from IRD, and will bring her remarks and give us all the French pronunciations.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, and it's a high honor to be invited here in your University of Guyana. So yeah, I'm Laurence Maurice. I'm representing the RID. It's written in English. It's not so difficult. It's a French Research Institute for Sustainable Development, and it's an institute that will have 80 years old next year. We are working in all southern countries. We're working in South America, of course, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and so on. And the main objective of our institute is to co-build solutions for sustainable development in this country. So we are highly involved in sustainability sciences, and our CEO has developed seven big challenges in which everybody can work. And these challenges, of course, the first one is the climate change, the erosion of biodiversity, migration, ocean preservation, and me, I'm a scientific assessor of the mineral resources and sustainability. So we are also in charge of the animation of a very large group of academic people from everywhere in the world on this specific issue. And we are working a lot with ministries, with policymakers, and so on, to co-build together solutions for a better planet. Of course, the main challenges here is trying to find the peace. Thank you for your discourse. I totally agree with that. And now we are trying to find solutions to to enjoy the places, the territories where we are living in, and especially in extractive territories, mining or oil territories. So it's one of the main points of this institute now, how co-building sustainable solutions for a planet where we are enjoying living in. So regarding the project here, I'm really, really pleased to thank officially WWF and Aiesha here. Thank you very much for all the coordination of the project and all the help you did for us during so many years. Thank you very much, Calvin, for your implication in this project too, and all the students who could participate also to the project. Just a brief description of the history. This project was born almost in 2015 in French Guyana, when I was presenting also results of a big project which was funded by the French NSF. And we were showing results on how we could quantify the impact of the gold mining in the environment, in ecosystem, in rivers and lakes and so on, in the aquatic food chain, but also till the people, till humans who were living in these territories. And we are speaking with colleagues from WWF in Guyana, in French Guyana. Thank you, Clément, for being here. We were saying that, oh, that's great. We have now new tools to trace and to quantify the mercury input from different human activities, not only mining, but also deforestation, logging, and so on. And we were very interested to develop this and to propose these tools to the neighbor countries, such as Suriname and Guyana. And little by little, working and speaking with the colleagues from WWF in both countries, in the three countries, little by little, this project has been developed, and I'm really pleased now to present the results we have. So we will present a lot of information. So sorry for that, because you will be it will be too much. But I think what I would like to do later, I will do a presentation, a short one of I will try 30 minutes, just to give you some keys to understand the complexity of the mercury biogeochemical cycle. It's very complex, and there is no one source, one effect. It's multi-sources and multi-effects. So what we would like to speak today and to explain to you today and to discuss today is about the complexity and how we can together improve the practices, and how we can also participate to the empowerment of local population to reduce their exposure to mercury, but also to other contaminants. So in the presentation later, what I would like also to present is some experiences we had in Brazil, in French Guyana, on the empowerment of the population, and what were the results on that. So we open another discussion on the biomonitoring of mercury, and also on the observatory we can propose in Guyana and also in Suriname. So thank you very much. I won't speak more because we're late. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Laurence. And again, I'll recognize a few persons, I think, at just before we go to the break. I want to hand this podium over to Mr. Darcy Waldron, who is the head of the Department of Environment in the Guyana-Georgian Mines Commission, and also the Guyana focal point for the Minamata Convention. And he will be giving the keynote address this morning. Please welcome Mr. Waldron.
Please allow me to stand with all existing protocols. Firstly, hearing? Okay. Yes. That's much better? Okay. Firstly, I would like to extend a pleasant morning to our special invitees. Yes, special invitees, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to actually present the keynote on gold mining in Guyana, environmental and human health considerations. In all fairness, I must say, when I was nominated to do this, I was a bit amused because a couple of weeks ago, with some playful banter with some friends, I was told that I have a face for radio and a voice for silent movies. And now I'm standing in front of you guys delivering this note, this keynote. So, given that, I made sure I tried to look my best today. And if you see me pausing or drinking some water, please note I'm trying consciously to speak so I don't, cause any discomfort to your ears. For those who may not know me, my name is Darcy Waldron. As mentioned before, I'm an environmental and mining engineer with over 18 years experience in the mining sector. I would like to start off the tone of this here by a quote, with some modifications, of course. Mining of minerals, like other commodities, have an intrinsic value, which is not arbitrary, but is dependent on their scarcity, the quantity of labor bestowed in procuring them, and the value of the capital employed in the mines which produce them, and the environments affected by them. I like this quote because it allows us to consider what is the price we're willing to pay for the extraction of minerals. It is not, hold on. It is not only restricted to the extraction of the mineral, but ensuring its true value to human lives, human safety, and the environment impacts may not be diminished. Guyana, like so many countries, has an extensive mining sector. And we both see the benefits of the mining sector, but also the challenges that they bring about as well. In Guyana, it is vital to Guyana's economy and is a major contributor to its foreign exchange earnings and for direct and indirect employment. Gold mining, particularly the artisanal small-scale gold mining, ASGM, has been the largest single sector of Guyana's economy before oil discovery. ASGM has been essential industry for over 100 years and is the largest employer in the hinterland regions of Guyana. In Guyana, the Guyana Geology Mines Commission stands as the guardian of our nation's minerals under our Mining Act, 1989, where the Commission oversees about 4.58 million acres of public lands divided into mining districts. In addition, all districts consist of indigenous settlements, 7.1 million acres. Guyana protected GGMC's closed areas, 2.9 million acres, and protected areas, 4.06 million acres, totaling 14.06 million acres. The Commission falls under the umbrella of the Ministry of Natural Resources that has the responsibility to develop, implement, and oversee policies for the responsible exploration, development, and utilization of natural resources while ensuring the protection and conservation of the environment and advancement of a green economy. The GGMC, guided by a visionary approach to fortify our position as the repository for all incidental and geoscientific data pertaining to Guyana's minerals, resources, including petroleum, mining and development experiences to utilize all enablers, relevant stakeholders, and legitimate investors, while giving high regard to employees' welfare and their development. Our mission is clear: to promote, facilitate, monitor, and regulate for sustainable utilization of Guyana's minerals, resources, including petroleum, to provide effective stewardship of Guyana's minerals, resources, through the development of competent human resources, employing innovative tools and methods, research and analysis, to collaborate with relevant stakeholders in enabling environment for optimum mutual beneficial outcomes. Currently, I'm going to give you a backdrop of what GGMC is and our role and some of the technical divisions that are part of it. We have Geological Services Unit which is one of the technical groups, Environmental Division, the Mines Division, and a Petroleum Division, and a Land Management Division. The Land Management Division is responsible for the acceptance and granting of permits and license in the medium and large scale mineral sector. The division is required to maintain an up-to-date mineral license database with the use of GIS, as this is the basis of which the legality of all exploration and mining operations is premised. Land management also holds and handles processes and endorsements of applications for the remission of taxes and the purchases of importation of items for the use in the mining and exploration sector by legitimate operators. The Geological Services undertakes geological fieldwork through Guyana to investigate the geology and mineral resources and compiles relevant geological reports. Some of the various services and documents available at GeoServices include regional geochemical surveys performed through Guyana, regional geological maps of Guyana, mineral occurrence maps of Guyana, to name a few. Mines Division regulates the mining sector and provides other essential services in accordance with the Mining Act number 20 of 1989 and the regulations. The service includes the regulating of large and medium-scale mining activities through technical inspections by the technical section, regulation of small-scale mining operation and execution of other field-related administrative functions, and collection of revenue by the inspectorate section. The mineral processing section is responsible for research aimed at improving mineral recovery and for local miners. Key priorities of the Environmental Division is to ensure compliance within the mining regulations, in particular our amended regulations 2005, which is more geared towards the environmental constraints or considerations for the mining sector. Of the Minor 205, while continuing synergies with existing OHS legislation, ensuring that aspects already covered by the Mining Act and its regulations are strictly adhered to. ED seeks to continually and meaningfully change attitudinal change towards mining and the way it is done. OHS practices for safety while encouraging our partners in the industry to include reclamation and mine development and closure plans is essential. Guyana boasts an extraordinary biodiversity with over 8,000 flora and approximately 1,800 fauna species, some exclusive to the Guyana Shield. The forest ecosystems and biodiversity are vital for community-based livelihoods, acknowledging the socio-economic and cultural significance of biodiversity. Guyana is committed to protecting and conserving these assets in alignment with our international conventions through policies, programs, and projects, such as the Convention on Biological Diversity, CDB, Coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, and Ramsar Convention. Guyana's national and international activities aim to reduce adverse impacts on human health and the environment across the mine life cycle, in line with the Low Carbon Development Strategy, LCDS 2030, the National Mineral Sector Policy, Convention on Biological Diversity, UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration 2021 to 2030, Reducing Deforestation and Forest Degradation, REDD+, Land Degradation Neutrality, LDN, UN Convention to Combat Desertification, UNCCD, Minamata Convention on Mercury, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Challenges observed in the mining sector are not limited to just Guyana. Given the significant contribution to Guyana's economy, we cannot ignore the fact that minerals are finite, and diversification to explore and exploit other minerals and suitable economic practices must be considered and incorporated. The mining sector has been susceptible to hazards, working conditions of poor OHS practices, which has led to loss of life and exposure to hazardous chemicals such as mercury. The sector contributes to forest loss due to the nature of mining, which drives habitat fragmentation, chemical pollution, turbidity of waters, and biodiversity loss. Uncontrolled forest removal, land clearing, and topsoil removal impact carbon storage, soil erosion, bank stability, weathering processes, with cascading impacts on water quality, aquatic habitats, forest regeneration, and ecosystem resilience. Recognizing these challenges, the government of Guyana acknowledges the need for comprehensive long-term solutions. This entails robust policies, regulations, and financial instruments to encourage responsible practices and safe post-mining land use. The revision of penalties and incentives, coupled with enhanced capacity and institutional coordination, is crucial for addressing sector impacts and to encourage behavioral change effectively. It is also imperative that measures be put in place to ensure the industry has economic resilience, that solutions or actions put forward are constantly evolving with the industry, and there is continuous monitoring of the impacts of the sector. In support of our ambitions for a safer, healthier, resilient, and environmentally sound industry, the government of Guyana has entertained partnerships with international agencies like the United Nations Development Programme and the Global Environmental Facility to implement projects like strengthening enabling framework of biodiversity, mainstreaming, and mercury reduction in small-scale gold mining operations. To ensure higher levels of compliance with the sector, enhanced monitoring and enforcement activities have not only been done by the GGMC, but also by the MNR through our core wardeners. Enhanced monitoring of watersheds has led for us to be able to fight and address issues when it comes to water quality. Agency-to-agency collaboration to foster more transparent and collective approach to address OHS and environmental threats have been significant. GGMC, through the technical departments and partnerships with NGOs, research institutions like the University of Guyana, has conducted various interventions to promote alternative and more efficient mineral recovery techniques for the end benefit of the local mining sector. The Commission has been persistent in its efforts and undertaken various projects that is in accordance with its mandate to provide technical assistance to the local mining sector, promote the use of technology to enhance efficiency and boost mineral recovery while reducing the environmental footprint of mining activities, and to work with miners towards the reduction and eventual, hopefully, where feasible, elimination of mercury. Our field interventions showcase economical, user-friendly, and efficient technologies which provide viable alternatives to the traditional practices, especially the use of mercury at the final stage of beneficiation. Technical assistance offered to miners has taken various formats, including, but not limited to, standalone unit technology demonstrations, multiple unit technology demonstrations, on-site assistance on modifications to existing setup of recovery boosting, such as dimensions and throw of sluice boxes, flow rates, screening, etc. Setup or installation of demo units on-site at operations, setup of installation of pilot-scale mineral processing circuits on-site at operations as well. Setup of demonstration sites for reclamation, setup of seedling farms for restoration, training of miners through our mining school. In addition to these efforts, the officers have engaged in several education and awareness campaigns in various mining areas in Guyana. These include field workshops for miners, the creation and distribution of media such as posters, brochures, videos, booklets, guidance on equipment selection for mineral recovery, one-on-one discussion with miners on the importance of OHS and mine safety, mainstreaming of reclamation through education and encouragement. Projects geared to enhance the knowledge and slope stability to reduce the number of lives lost from pit wall failures. The Commission also offers a suite of analytical services to the sector for ore samples submitted to the Commission's R&D facility. These intervention and analytical services are offered to the local mining sector and are conducted with the aim of promoting technology that will help miners to work more efficiently by increasing mineral recovery and production rates, and to operate in a manner that has a reduced impact on the environment. The reduced impact primarily targets a reduction in the use of mercury and achieving our obligations under the NAP of the Minamata Convention. It also focuses on reduction in fuel consumption, which impacts on carbon emissions, reduction in forest clearance, reduction in water consumption, and encouraging best mineral recovery practices. In developing the mineral potential of Guyana, the GGMC has compiled reports on the geology, geochemistry, and structure of a more recent time frame, which covers over 7,000 square kilometers of northern Guyana. And this database is commercially accessible. A total of 72 geochemical projects have been conducted between 1999 to 2023, covering a total area of 122,839 square kilometers, which is 50% of Guyana. Geological mapping and soil sampling projects aim to further develop the regional geological map of Guyana, which is essential towards determining prospective deposit locations. In addition, the soil projects conducted provide important multi-element geochemical data, which aids in identifying prospective areas for mining, especially as it relates to non-traditional minerals. The increase in demand for quarable materials, loam, sand, and laterite for infrastructural development in Guyana has made it necessary to identify new locations suitable for this increased demand. With the aim of understanding the distribution and extent of these deposits, the GGMC has undertaken the task of increasing our resources in these areas. A total of 6 projects were conducted, which included 556 sand locations and 129 loam locations. In closing, I would like to point out our commitment to continue our work harmoniously with our partners, such as the government agencies like EPA, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Social Protection, NGOs, international institutions, and the mining community, towards the development of a strategic and comprehensive action plan dedicated to environmental management in mining, development of the expansion of the mining sector while ensuring gender equality and attention to sensitive groups like indigenous communities, children in mines, and trafficking in persons. We are committed to working along horizontal and vertical planes, recognizing the value of both scientific and international best practices and standards, and the local context perspectives, and bridging the gaps to ensure that Guyana mineral extractive sector is of exemplary standard on the global scene, and operators in alignment with national development trajectories, such as the Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030 and our international commitments, such as the Minamata Convention. The economic benefits of extracting and utilizing mineral resources must not cost life, limb, or the quality of the environment. As such, we will continue to identify and implement corrective measures to counter existing environmental threats and continue to emphasize mine safety and health in the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Waldron. And I think we ought to commend the GGMC and the Ministry of Natural Resources for the work that they're doing, moving the industry. You know, it's a challenging industry. I remember many years ago, as a young academic, when the discourse about this was a laugh about saying, what? You're talking about sustainable mining? How is that possible? And I think we're making significant strides towards that being a reality. Thank you very much, Mr. Waldron, for that address. We're going to go to a break. We've just pretty much caught up with the timeline that we've set out. So we're going to be moving in keeping with that timeline hereafter. And we're going to have a 20-minute break. All right, it's going to be, as I noticed, there's a challenge we're overcoming. We'll have a break, and then we'll come back and start with a featured technical presentation from Laurence. I wanted to recognize the Vice-Chancellor spoke of a student whose work was supported on the project in focus here, and I want to recognize her, Ms. Bino, Rochelle Bino, is a graduate of chemistry now. She had gone out in the field with Loic last year. Her and another student from biology who's also a graduate. He did not do research work, but she was working on her project, started with the interaction that she had there. We'll hear from a number of other students within the university that have done work, some of our staff, and we'll hear a bit, I think there are about 2 presentations this afternoon from the GGMC talking about reclamation, talking about efficient mineral processing, and so on. So it's going to be a very packed day, as mentioned, and it's going to be a very informative and interesting one. So let's take a break. I think it's going to be largely a time of stretch, and there's a bit of a challenge that I'm noting, but we will go for the break and keep tuned, and we'll fill in on the end. Thanks very much to the media for being here. I know there's a couple of media houses here, and I want to recognize also we have a team of rapporteurs in helping to pull together the outputs. So we weren't just joking around about what we will put out. Yeah, we weren't just joking around about what we will put out. We have put serious effort into ensuring we're able to produce what we said we would. So we have a team of rapporteurs led by Ms. Donette Washington from the library, I think is a chief rapporteur, and she's supported by 2 recent graduates from the Department of Biology. So they're helping to keep us recorded along with what's going in video and on Zoom. We want to also recognize those that are on Zoom. There was a major demand for attendance at the conference, and we were scared. We were very scared about being able to accommodate everyone in the way we would like to. And so we had to ensure that we have a proper mechanism to allow persons to access what's happening here over the next 2 days. And so we have some persons joining us via Zoom. Thank you very much. So those on Zoom, you can just join us back in about 20 minutes. Don't log out, just stay there and come back in. And those here, take a stretch, greet some folks around. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vice-Chancellor. Thank you, Mr. Waldron, because I know you're likely going to have to depart. And we'll continue with today's proceedings. Let's go for the break.